Happy Monday, everyone. I'm Myra Ansari here for Wave Now. Thank you so much for joining me here on this stream. So we always try to make you aware of things that are going on around our community so you don't fall victim, things like scams. And we all know that scammers, they are hard at work trying to take advantage of you. And today, Indiana State Police from the Versailles Post, they put out a warning that we wanted to share with you about a scam involving gift cards in churches. Joining me now is Sergeant Stephen Wheelis from the Indiana State Police Post, Versailles Post. Thank you so much for sharing this information with our viewers today, Sergeant. Tell us about the scam that you all have been made aware of.
Yeah, actually, this scam got to our attention by one of our troopers. They tried to target one of our troopers, and so that brought it to our attention. And we realized that this is maybe a little bit more widespread than just one instance. And in this situation, it seems like scammers have been able to latch on to church directories in some way. It's unclear how they were able to get these directories, but got a directory with everybody that goes to that church that's in the directory. The scammer then pretended to be the pastor of that church, made a fake email account, sent that out to numerous people that attend that church. And it preys on the generosity of the people that want to help people in need. And it basically said, I'm collecting gift cards to be able to send to people that are in need and some church staff. And so it encouraged people to get those cards. Fortunately, people in this situation, kind of some red flags were raised, and they were like, it doesn't seem legit. And it turns out it was basically someone phishing for generous people that are willing to help somebody and that didn't think that they would do their research and discover that it was actually a scam.
These scammers, they really work hard to convince you, after all, because it is their job to harm you and take advantage of you. Do they really make it believable when they're coming after folks? Like, would you stop and think, oh, that sounds legitimate? Like, it's very easy sometimes to fall for.
Yeah, that's exactly right. They are very sophisticated in a lot of situations where they do make it very believable. But in this day and age with technology, it's encouraged people to be very skeptical. In this case, the person that sent out the emails to the people that go to the church made a fake email account that looked very similar to that it's coming from the pastor of that church. And so I just encourage people, if you get something like that, don't take it at face value. Dig a little bit deeper. Do your own research. And, I know a lot of the scams that have been going around for a long time are coming from your big companies, Apple, Best Buy, Amazon. They look like legitimate emails, but, in actuality, it's fake email accounts. So when you get some of those, don't jump on them and do what they say, do your own research, look up the legitimate contact information for those companies and check to make sure it's legitimate before you actually, give them money.
Yeah, Sergeant, we just got actually a post on Facebook. Someone who's joining us, Rich Andrews, just shared on our Facebook stream that this happened to his church. They got a hold of our address book and our members. Rich, I'm so sorry that happened to you and your fellow church members. I know that this is a really violating feeling as well for folks, right, Sergeant?
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's in an atmosphere where you feel like and that's really what the scammers are preying on. They're preying on someone that knows, the things that should be an area that, they can trust those around them. And they are a generous group of individuals. So it's really targeting them, unfortunately. And in this case, the document that was emailed was just in a Word document. Like some of the grammar and the way it was worded made it kind of raise some red flags as well. So, like I said, just everyone needs to use caution if they get something like that and do their research before donating.
You may or may not know this, Sergeant, but do we know how this scammer is asking? We know that they are asking for gift cards, but say if I did not realize what was going on, I purchased that gift card. How did they want me to give it to them. Maybe that'll clear up some confusion
Yeah.
for folks.
Yeah, and this email really didn't say how they expected to get that. Typically, what happens, I think what they were hoping for, someone to say, hey, I got the gift cards. How can I get them to you, or what do you need? Typically, in scam situations, they often want you to give them the number for the gift card over the phone, or email them with the gift card numbers. They can still use it in that way. That way, there doesn't have to be a face-to-face transaction of you handing the gift card to them. It's basically just done over the phone. And so if someone asks you to get gift cards for payment and to give them the numbers over the phone, that's huge red flags that there's probably a scam going on here, because it's not common to use gift cards for payment for really anything. So that's important to note as well.
That makes a lot of sense. I'm glad that you mentioned that to folks. Should you maybe call your church, call your pastor and say, hey, is this legit?
That's exactly what happened in this situation. There were some red flags, and so some people reached out to the pastor. The pastor said, we did not send out anything. They were able to send out an email to all the members and saying, that's not legit. Don't be purchasing gift cards. And luckily, no one fell victim to it. But it's very clear that it could easily happen. And so, we're just trying to get that word out that scammers are out there, unfortunately, and they prey on how generous we are as a society, and they want to take advantage of that, unfortunately.
Sergeant, I've done so many stories, similar interviews just like this with organizations like the Better Business Bureau and things like that. And most of the time when you fall victim to these scams, it's really, really, really nearly impossible to get your money back or to find out who these people are. What's your take on that from a law enforcement perspective?
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of these scams are, they originate overseas. Makes it very difficult even for local law enforcement to actually determine who's behind it, especially in the case with gift cards. There's not tracking numbers that go to a bank account or anything like that. It's very hard to tell who uses that gift card once you give them the numbers. So it does become very tricky. I would work closely with your bank if you feel like you become a victim. A lot of times banks will help you through that situation. Oftentimes their fraud department will work on it and can often reimburse you for any lost money up to a certain point. So you may have some options like that if you feel like you've become, you've fallen victim. And certainly let law enforcement know if you think there's a scam out there that's preying on people. And we want that information, and it's very important that we send that information out to folks like I did today to make them aware, because the last thing we want is someone to fall victim to one of these scams.
And I always tell folks, sometimes people get judgmental and they think, or they think they're invincible, and that would never happen to me. I would never fall for that. That's something that only happens to a certain age group, but that is not the case.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. People all the time, I never thought I would have fallen. I thought I was smarter than that. I thought I would never fall victim to it. But with these scams are popping up. There's new types of scams all the time, and unfortunately, they're very creative, and some of the stuff is amazing how they're able to pull off, and how they're able to scam people. So there's new ways that they're doing it, and unfortunately, you just have to be very careful and triple check your information. And something we didn't mention also, never give out your personal information over the phone, and trust somebody that's called you and give them your personal information, because you really just do not know who's on the other end of that line and what they're going to use that information for.
All right, Sergeant, this was very helpful. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today and sharing this information with our viewers today. Is there anything that I didn't ask you in relation to this that you feel like folks need to know about?
I think we covered it. Again, I just reiterate, just be very diligent, and also spread the information. That's important, that you may have that information, but you may have that elderly family member that doesn't use the internet, isn't familiar with how things work, doesn't know these scams. And it's important that we push that information out, and that everyone does their part to watch out for your family members and make them aware of what actually does go on. So they don't. I mean, I have parents as well that they don't know they don't know how things work, and they're from a generation where
you trust people.
You trust people, you take people at their word, and
Yeah.
and they're generous. And
Absolutely.
so it's very important that we even spread information to our family members and those around us to make sure everyone's aware and doesn't fall victim to this.
Absolutely. Good advice there. And if you're joining us on Facebook or Twitter, you can retweet this stream. You can repost it and share it on your Facebook pages as well to let folks know. Sergeant, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for all that you do for our community to keep us safe today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
All right. Have a great day. I'm Myra Ansari for Wave Now. I hope you have a wonderful day.